Trying to find a use for the Gemini laser again. Welcome back to Creative Gaming. In the last episode, I started a dice challenge for Megaman 3, where I roll an 8-sided die to decide my level. I first had to start with Shadow Man, like the worst of them all. Then I rolled to Needle Man, which wasn't too much better. I didn't make it, so I used my one-time cheat to get Snake Man. Then I was on to Gemini Man. I got Needle Man again, and I finally beat him with his weakness weapon. Then Spark Man, then Hard Man. I have Magnet Man and Top Man left. You know, the two easiest ones that people usually start with. Anyway, let's roll. Alright, we finally rolled to Magnet Man, the level I would normally pick first for this game. I like the upbeat, catchy theme of this level. These magnet enemies lift you up in the air. I think they're actually very underutilized. If you've played Mega Man Maker, players have constructed many unique challenges using these enemies. Now Proto Man again. Ah, the disappearing blocks. We can't go through one Mega Man game without these, can we? I could use the Rush Jet to bypass this, but these aren't too difficult. Just wait for the higher block to appear here. Trying to find a use for the Gemini laser again. Now at Magnet Man, he's weak against the Spark Shot. He actually takes 2 points of damage from your regular arm cannon too, which makes him a pretty good first choice. Alright, so we are down to our last Robot Master, so we don't need to roll for this one. Now we get to the bizarre level of Top Man, a bizarre but oddly catchy theme. But again, what is this level? Some type of weed factory? The background is sky blue. You would think this would be the sky, but no, you see these furnace things in the background, or whatever they are. It's kind of funny how they made a Robot Master out of a toy. I wonder how those toy tops are threatening to robots, but whatever. Now I get to the terrifying Top Man. His weakness is the hard knuckle, so that's right, Top Man likes it hard.
Sexual innuendo alert.
Now we get the ever so loved, the ever so cherished, the ever so useful Top Spin, a weapon that reinvented the way you look at special weapons in video games.
What?
I'm just kidding, it sucks. Glad you're still paying attention, Negativio. But yeah, the Top Spin is something else. I'll talk about it more a bit later. Alright, so now we get to one of the most unique things about Mega Man 3, the Doc Robot levels. I do think it's a cool and interesting concept, although there is a bit of a missed execution, and I'll talk about it more as I go. So I'm just gonna quickly roll a 6-sided die here. 1 to 4 will represent the levels, and 5 and 6 will be wild, where I can choose whichever level I want. I'm not gonna waste too much time here or build up anticipation with the rolls, since the order in which we do these levels doesn't really matter. A 4, so I'll start with the revisit of Shadow Man's level. So the levels are similar to their earlier versions, but have added traps. These 4 revisit levels are the real challenge in this game. Levels are a little harder, but there are 2 bosses and checkpoints are scarce. Ah shit, these platforms give away quickly. I might as well use the Rush Jet, no point in taking any unnecessary risks. And we arrive to Woodman. So that's right, these levels have all 8 robot masters from the previous game. It was interesting to bring these bosses back for this game. They each enter a dock robot, certainly an attempt by the developers to save data on animation sprites. These battles are more difficult than the originals. First of all, their sprites and hitboxes feel bigger. Also, you have different weapons now, so you might not know what their weakness is. So you do have to experiment. And if I would have died here, I would have had to start at the beginning of the level. There's a checkpoint right after the boss and that's it. If you die at the second boss, you start from there. It definitely makes things challenging, a challenge that many people didn't like. This part again. Now we have Heatman. No bubble led to save us this time, but his weakness is the Shadow Blade. It's funny how I remember the weaknesses for most of these bosses. Now I roll for the second dock robot level. Okay, so a 6 is wild. I think I'll get rid of probably the most problematic level, the Needleman Revisit. In Mega Man 2, I did talk about some archaic level designs. Levels in Mega Man 3 are generally a little better designed, but there is a problem with this stage here that I'll get to. Airman, his weakness was the Spark Shock. I think they have a couple of weaknesses each, but I don't remember what some of the other ones are. This is the part that's a bit problematic. You ride on the Rush Jet, which is actually pretty cool. You fight enemies and get energy capsules as you fly along to recharge. The problem is, if you happen to die during this stage, or even at the boss, you'll start at the beginning of this pit, and the energy capsules that you picked up don't respawn, so without some careful planning and farming capsules from enemies, you'll be up shit's creek to get past this pit on your second try. The rest of the level is fine, I don't have too much to say about it. Decent mini-boss here. Now we get the fight with Crashman. I think the very slow hard knuckle is his weakness. So Crashman likes to crash hard as well.
That analogy didn't work.
So this is more difficult than using the 2-hit kill air shooter. And as I said, if you die here, you have to restart at that long pit, with probably a Rush Jet low on energy. Alright, on to the next level. 1. Now we return to the banging theme of Sparkman. You have to watch which direction these wheels roll. Now we are at Metal Man. Don't you wish you could get his metal blades? He's weak against the magnet missiles, which is appropriate. The rest of this level is similar to its first counterpart, nothing too difficult. Now we get to Quickman. He's faster than ever. One of his weaknesses is the Surge Snake. And there we go. Alright, on to the last level, the revisit of Gemini Man stage. Not too much to say, similar challenges as the original level, just fire at these eggs and these blue sperms. Now I get to Flashman Part 2. He chases you around like before. I forget what his weakness is. The needle cannon works fine. We get to use the Rush Marine for a bit. You can theoretically run out of energy just like the Jet in the Needleman Revisit, but this portion is shorter, so it's not as much of a problem if you die. Now at Bubble Man. Predictably, he's weak against the Spark Shock. Easy peasy. Now we battle Breakman. Breakman? Who the hell is Breakman? Similar battle as before. And now we're on to the Wily stages. Yup, the Wily stages. I bet you didn't see that coming. So now we get to the final levels in the game. These levels are actually considered some of the easiest Wily levels in the franchise. I don't know if the developers ran out of time, or if they were afraid of repeating the mistakes made in Megaman 2, where Megaman could be trapped in a later level with no energy tanks. But here, they're pretty generous. They're pretty much all over the place. I guess this first Wily level is a sewer area. Now we get to this weird boss. At first you might be thinking the machine above is the target, but no, it's actually the turtles. I'm probably the only one who uses a top spin here, but it works pretty well. Most people use the Shadow Blade. Now on to the second level. This level is actually pretty short, so short in fact that it doesn't even have a checkpoint. Off screen the bees again. Now we get to use the Rush Jet again, but it's not a long stretch like in the Needle Man revisit. And here we get to one of the most infamous bosses in Mega Man, the Yellow Devil. This version is a bit easier than in the original Mega Man, although he does have one extra attack that's different. Oh shit, I didn't keep an eye on my energy. I'll have to start the level over again. This boss actually comes back many times to the franchise, and I swear that his pattern is the same for each one. I kinda knew it by heart, but I'm a little rusty since I haven't played this in a few years. Use the Rush Jet here. Avoiding those bouncy blocks is practically impossible. Going well, just got to be a little more patient. Oh shit, I thought I was done, but still one hit left. Alright, stage 3. We get a different theme too. Again, nothing too difficult here. Here we get to the 3 clones of Mega Man. Their weakness is the Search Snake. If I can find the real clone. Another one down. Stage 4. This is just a small part here before we get to the fight with the 8 Robot Masters. One interesting thing about this game is, if you use the enemy's own weapon against him, it will always do 4 points of damage. So if you've forgotten their weakness, just use their own weapon. These boss rushes have become tradition since the second game. This level doesn't have an actual boss either, just a battle with these guys. Now Shadow Man, and we have to use the most unreliable weapon, the top spin. It sucks because your entire weapon energy bar can drain all the way if you're not lucky. You see, like it did here. That really sucks. Now I have to take him down with something else. So yep, the top spin sucks ass. You have to risk body contact with an enemy, and oftentimes you'll take damage. Now we're on to the next level. It's just one room, then the boss. It's interesting with what they did with the Wily machines here. It's definitely different than what you see in most Mega Man games, which is the Skull Ship. Now the final level. This is the second game where they use this trick, the fake out level. And now we get to Gamma, the giant robot that Wily and Dr. Light were working on before Wily's unexpected backstab. It definitely looks huge and impressive. And what is the biggest weakness of this imposing foe? Why, the top spin, of course. He goes down with one hit with it. If you don't want to use the top spin, you can just use the search snake. I believe these are the only two weapons that can damage him. And with that, we've completed the game. When I beat this game as a kid, I actually thought Megaman 3 would be the last Megaman game. It looked like Wily was crushed under a pile of debris, so I didn't really have any reason to think that he would come back. And with that, I have another victory under my belt. Thank you! Thank you!
We have a very responsive audience.
Yeah, you'd think they reacted to push of a button. So, Mega Man 3 was definitely a treat when it came out. Following the incredible Mega Man 2, it defied a lot of the conventions that we see today in a lot of the Mega Man games. The Doc Robot stages, with the return of the previous 8 Robot Masters from the previous game. Mega Man's Mechanical Dog Rush replaced the more bland items 1, 2, and 3 from Mega Man 2. The slide was added, and 2 different weakness chains in the Robot Masters. The special weapons are a mixed bag. They're not nearly as good as the second game. The hard knuckle is too slow to be practical. The search snake is okay, but not great. The shadow blade is a downgrade from the metal blade, etc, etc. And the top spin? Well, it's the top spin. But overall, this is a great follow-up from its 2 predecessors. Whether it's better than 2 or not is a matter of opinion, but I have a real fondness for Mega Man 3, as I do for 2. This playthrough went well, although looking back, I probably should have used an energy tank at Needleman stage instead of using my cheat. The cheat is supposed to be a last resort, so using E-Tank should have been prioritized. But oh well, I made it through regardless. I was afraid of how many E-Tanks I would have throughout the game, so I was kind of hoarding them early on. I didn't want to be caught at the Doc Robot stages without energy tanks, where you usually need to use some of them. But they did give me enough to get through. So that's it, everybody. Give this challenge a try. I'll hopefully see you in the next episode, and keep gaming.